The Pulitzer Prize committee started a fierce debate last week, deciding not to award a prize for fiction. This has not happened since 1977. This
morning, author Anna Quindlen is here. She's written five best-selling novels. She's won a Pulitzer as a New York Times columnist. And her new book is a memoir. I love this title, Lots of Candles, Plenty of Cake. Anna Quindlen, good morning.
Good morning, Gail.
We're going to talk about your book in just a second, but what did you think about the decision not to award a Pulitzer this time?
Well, I think it depends on what the standard is. If the standard is for the best novel published in the given year, they fell down on the job. Mm-hmm. If the standard is a book for the ages, maybe not. I think it's worth noting that before 77, there were many, many years when they didn't give a fiction prize. So that it's the long stretch giving one that's more aberrational.
Does that suggest that when they give it, that they mean that this is a book for the ages?
I think it may, or it may suggest that that was the standard before and it isn't any longer. I just don't know. I don't see that codified anywhere.
Because it seems to me that they give Pulitzer Prizes for the best work of the year, regardless of whether it's journalism or nonfiction or fiction.
But maybe they bring a different standard to fiction, to drama, to music, to some of those things. I don't really know, Charlie. I didn't think it was quite as big a deal as a lot of other people did.
Let's take stock, talking about good books. Do you mind if we talk about Lots of Candles, Plenty of Cake?
I would love that.
So your memoir, at the age of 60, you decided now is the time because?
Oh, I think it's a good moment.
I do too.
But I also had this moment, which I detail in the book, where my daughter was worried about me after a storm at our house. And I said to her, I'm too old to die young now. Mm-hmm. And at the moment I said that, it suddenly seemed to me that I had moved over into a different stage of the continuum of life. And the more I thought about that, the more I thought I wanted to write about it.
You know what I think is so great? We do a thing here on CBS This Morning called Letters to Your Younger Self. And you talk about that a little bit in your book, that if you had to look at your 23-year-old self, and I love this so much, you said, you know nothing.
Absolutely, but also don't listen to all the naysaying. I mean, when I think of all the time I wasted listening to the voices of the world say you're not good at this or you're not good enough at that, you just got to keep on keeping on and learn the stuff you need to know as fast as you can.
Yeah, but that wasn't your life experience. Your life experience was people saying, you're good, come do this, come do this. And you basically pulled back and said, I know what I want to do. I want to go home and write.
Well, I did do that, but also there's, when you're young, there's you're good, you're the good young person. And you keep thinking to yourself, gee, when I get older, am I still going to be any good? And that's something that you have to deal with as you grow older and to some extent are usurped by younger people, quite properly, by the way.
But do you write as well today as you have at every stage of your life?
I write better today.
That's what I thought. Thank you very much. I rest my case.
Yes. I mean, you just know more. It's all cumulative.
Yeah. You talk too about parenting. I love what you say about parenting, because my philosophy is you sew their wings on tight and then you let them soar. And you say pretty much the same thing when it comes to parenting. You love them enough, really, not for them to stay, but to leave.
Exactly. I think the best job I ever did as a mother is when I got out of their way. There's raw material, you got to shape it to some extent, but this micromanaging, this trying to turn them into something you want them to be, as opposed to who they really are, that's a fool's bargain.
How do you know the balance?
It's hard. You got to strike it day by day, and sometimes you get it wrong. My oldest son and I were talking the other day, and he said, I remember early on you said this book might be called Mistakes Were Made. And that was more about motherhood than anything else.
And about marriage, too. I love what you say about marriage. Charlie, we sit here both divorced, Charlie and I. I'm thinking maybe I should have
not to each other, but
not to each other.
Now there's a story.
That is a story. A safety net of small white lies can be the bedrock of a successful marriage.
Well, come on.
Does that make sense to you, Charlie? A safety net of small white lies.
Well, it depends on what you meant. Tell me what you meant, and I'll tell you if it makes sense.
Well, I mean, I mentioned that I lie to my husband about how much everything costs. Because if I said to my husband, gee, that couch was however many $1,000s, he'd go on and on about it. He'd probably never sit on the darn thing. Oh. So, I have to sort of massage things into place. And he doesn't seem to mind or even notice.
How old would you be if you didn't know how old you were?
I love that quote.
I do too.
Isn't it fantastic?
I do too.
I mean, there are studies that show that everybody thinks they're somewhat younger than they are, and that the older you get, the more time you shave off. As I say in the book, if you woke me up from a sound sleep and said, how old are you? I'd probably say 41.
Yeah.
But the truth is, my life today is better than my life was at 41.
Yep.
Because you have more what?
Oh, my kids are successfully launched, and I feel really good about where they are now. My friendships are so important. You know, sometimes you lose your girlfriends during those years when you're raising kids because you just don't have the time. Suddenly we're back with a vengeance. It just feels like a really good time in my life.
You
Great to
know,
have
you said Eleanor Roosevelt said that you should do something every day that scares you. You say you should do something every day that surprises you. I was surprised to know Anna Quindlen. She can do a handstand, Charlie, at a moment's notice.
A headstand.
I mean, a
I
headstand.
cannot do a handstand.
No, I mean a headstand. A headstand. We won't ask you to demonstrate that today. But
That's why I'm wearing a dress, so nobody will ask me to do it on TV.
When was the last time you did something surprising?
Oh, gosh. Every time I finish a piece and it reads halfway decently to me, I'm surprised.
I got it.
Anna Quindlen, thank you. Great to have
Thank you,
you
Charlie.
here.
Thanks, Gail.
To be continued.
Lots of candles, plenty of cake goes on sale nationwide tomorrow.